I'm Brandon.
And I'm Isaac.
And this is BrainShake.
And today, we're just going to be talking about ourselves, It's going to be a casual little podcast.
Volta kicked us out, so we moved venues.
Not actually.
It's a big improvement. No, it's a change of scenery.
Yeah.
It's also an Easter egg to a future project, which we'll give some hints about later.
Yeah.
But no spoilers.
Pretty much.
So I'm just gonna make sure this is recording because I like to be safe, and it is. As you can see, we have our trusty sock wind filter. You can buy them at eBay, at Walmart, anywhere you can get a sock. You can get a sock for your Zoom recorder. And we're not sponsored by socks by any means. We're not into big sock. We just happen to use them.
Yep.
When it's convenient.
But I guess
this wind is gonna mess up my hair.
we started this channel about. We started this channel a while ago, but we started filming.
The first time we came up with the idea was we were sitting on Isaac's. Well, I was on one couch, he was on another couch in his basement, about a year ago.
Yeah.
Estimate. And we said, I was like, Isaac, we're having all these interesting conversations. Why don't we record them for the world to hear? Just to see what happens.
Yeah, everyone thought that we were so deep whenever we talked.
Yeah.
It was just the charisma
we just talk about weird things, and because that's the stuff we like to talk about.
Yeah.
And so Isaac said, yeah, that's a good idea. And he's like, we could even video it. And I'm like, yeah, we could have like videos. And I've been wanting to do a creative project like this for a while. I just didn't know quite what it was.
So have I. And
then serendipitously, we both kind of met at the right times in our life for this to be able to be a reality.
Yeah,
and here we are.
It was great because we started formulating this whole kind of story, this journey, straight from scratch. Right? It was just when one person said one idea, we went with that, and another person said one idea, and it just converged in this whole huge thing.
Yeah, and so what we're gonna do for this episode is you're gonna get to know us a little bit better.
Yeah.
To understand why we started BrainShake, who we are, where we come from, and why we're passionate about this, and what our end goals are. And we're going to talk to you at times and address you as the audience, but mostly we're just going to have a conversation between two friends.
Yep.
And right now, we're addressing you and trying to explain what's going on, but me and Isaac, we're just going to take this wherever it goes over the next 45 minutes.
Just going to be a normal conventional podcast.
And talk like we do when there's no cameras running.
Awesome.
And that's how it's going to go. So
what do we got here?
I have a question for you.
Yeah? What would that question be?
So I'm filling in for Brandon while he's having a washroom break. Isaac, what do you think about masks?
I think they're a great way to hide your identity, but I think if you're looking at it from the Spider-Man perspective, it's a good way to fight your fear. A lot of the time, when you're fighting crime or whatever it could be, a mask could make you seem more intimidating and help you do your job right.
What about social masks? How people kind of mask their true self to try to fit in with a crowd? I
think a lot of people are really just kind of afraid of themselves and afraid of being judged when it comes down to it. I know when I was younger, I wore a mask, kind of like this one in a way. More figuratively.
Yeah.
But I was really afraid of being judged for just being myself.
Right.
Which was really scary. And then you kind of realize, there's no point in having a mask because, it's just you're yourself. But I think when it comes down to it, a lot of people wear masks because they're afraid and they don't really know themselves enough.
Part of wearing a mask is, whether it's just trying to get by and maybe you're in high school, you want to fit in with a certain clique, whatever the case. I think that, for a while I kind of did. And then at a certain point in my life, when I hit a certain low, I got really depressed.
Right.
And then I started having some problems with sleep. And I feel like for me, that kind of forced the mask off.
Right.
I didn't really have a reason to try to blend in anymore because I was just dealing with something at another level. And it was kind of a humbling experience to go through that at a young age, because it helps you have a different perspective, I think, to go through anything, that in any trial or tribulation in life can be a very humbling experience if you let it be. And really, it's just, for me, it's really free to just be yourself. Like, there's no better way to exist, in my opinion. And obviously you have to be, in certain situations, you might have to act a certain way around certain people. Like if you're at a job, obviously maybe you can't make the same jokes you'd make with your buddies. I don't know.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if you can find a way to break that mask off and just be your genuine self, it's one of the most freeing things. And I'm kind of grateful that I had that experience at such a young age.
I think
to allow myself to be weird.
You know, Brandon and I were very similar, kind of like growing up in a lot of ways, very creative minds. And I think the reason why I wore a mask at first was because I didn't really know, like, you know, going through my young childhood, I went through a lot of surgeries, right? And I was going into it straight into school and preschool and all that stuff with a visual difference. You know, I had to wear a helmet. You know, I had to go through you know, a lot of like different surgeries that you know caused this scar. My scar was even bigger back then, right? So kids can be cruel, very cruel. It was at the point where, you know, kids would stick pencils down the holes in my helmet.
Jeez.
And it was very hard. And of course, I didn't really fully understand it. But that's where it kind of all started for me, where it was like I started to get really sad, and you know, depression was kind of something that kind of escalated slowly but surely. And like you said, that's kind of what forced me to really be in touch with myself and realize, you know, that I shouldn't worry. I should really go full force into things that I love.
Definitely.
And that's taken a long road. Even to now, I'm still learning what I want to do, right?
I have another question for you.
Okay.
My question for you is, at what point in your life do you feel like, let's talk about a point in your life where your perspective shifted.
Okay.
And obviously that happens throughout someone's life. But is there any event in your life or experience, whether it's early on or whenever, that you can definitely remember as a point where things were never quite the same?
I think straight from my young childhood, when I could actually start to perceive things, I kind of started realizing that things were different for me from the get-go. I saw a lot of families in the way that they did things, and they did things completely different. You know, I didn't know how to learn how to read. There wasn't very much in the vocabulary of being able to learn things when I was younger. But you know, surgery, it forced me to mature at a young age, right? But I think the major change for me was going to Bridgeway Academy. You know, going from another school to a private school of people that I never met before.
Right.
Right, and that's a scary experience when you're younger. But I went there for 5 years, and that changed. That 5 years, over that 5-year gap, it changed my personality in so many more ways than one.
Right.
And it made me fully realize that yes, I've been through a lot of shit, and it sucks.
Right.
And it will potentially only get worse. But the only thing that the best way to deal with that is to change your attitude towards it. Say, yes, things happen, but...
So was it going to Bridgeway that shifted that?
Yeah, it was
perspective?
Going to Bridgeway was what shifted that perspective, because I had a lot of difference makers there that changed my whole outlook on life. And
right.
Being able to learn, realizing that...
Helicopter passing by, but,
yeah,
you know...
I think,
you know, sometimes, you know, just a simple shift in perspective or the right people entering your life can really uplift you to a point where, you know, you might be going through a part in your life where it's haze and you can't see through the clouds in front of you, but you just keep trucking along like a helicopter.
Perfect segue. But being able to learn was the biggest facet.
Right.
It was huge for me, because then I realized that I can be more creative. And I can do things, and I'm not this stupid kid.
Yeah.
You know, I'm worth living for. You know, I'm a worth it human being.
Yeah.
And that really changed my perspective from then on.
Right.
And I think, for example, I wouldn't be doing stuff like this. If 5 years ago, if you came to me, or 6 years ago now, if you came to me and said, are you going to be able to go and speak in front of people? Are you going to be having a YouTube channel and doing all this stuff?
Yeah.
I would say you're fucking insane. I would never do that.
It's
I was the
not very
kid.
nice.
I was the kid in the back of the class,
Yeah.
right? So
Well-
I wouldn't have said any of that stuff. I wouldn't have done any of that stuff. I probably wouldn't even be friends with you because I'd be too afraid to talk.
It's funny all the little things that can kind of domino effect, butterfly effect, a bunch of change in your life. I like to think back sometimes to, my granddad. He fought in World War II, and he was an anti-gunner on a Lancaster bomber plane, and everyone on his plane died but him. Like, their plane got shot down. He was the only survivor of that whole plane, and if he hadn't survived, I wouldn't exist, and neither would a lot of my family, because like just these little coincidences or things that happen in life can change the whole trajectory of the future. And so I guess what I'm getting at here is, I thought back to that moment one day and realized how just if that plane had got struck in a different spot, I wouldn't be here. My reality wouldn't exist at all. And I think about, maybe there's a multiverse out there somewhere where I don't exist, or events have changed completely. And the reason I like to think about that is not only because it reminds me how grateful I should be to be here, but also how much subtle decisions or events can change the complete trajectory of events in the future.
I agree.
It's one thing can literally change nations, can change the world. One person can change the world because of the domino effect.
That's something
Right?
that I constantly think about in the way of how lucky we just are as out of the billions or more sperm that made it to the egg, we were that one anomaly.
And maybe
too.
and you could always argue, or I argue to myself sometimes, well, we're the one of the billion egg, but all those other billions of eggs exist in some parallel universe somewhere, or multiverse.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
And so maybe
yeah.
we're all inevitable.
Maybe.
But that's almost just as beautiful.
Yeah.
I was always meant to be here because it was possible. But I'm detracting a bit from our story a bit.
Hey, no worries.
I want to help the viewers get to know you a little bit more.
Okay.
And then, you can ask
Yeah.
me whatever
Right.
questions. I'm an open
Right.
book.
I
Ask
think-
me anything you want.
I think the one thing that if you wanted to get to know me a little bit more, and
Here, let's get rid of this mask.
yeah, get out of here.
Let's get real.
I guess if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of things and want to get to know me more, the one thing that you need to understand first about me is I'm always about helping people. I'm always about putting people first, and I think that's one of my greatest gifts, but it's also one of my greatest weaknesses, because I'm still learning today to be able to put myself before others, and you can only be able to help others
If you
but
can help yourself.
But if you can help yourself, right? And I think growing up, I have always wanted to help people. Anyway, yeah.
Well, I always say,
Yeah.
it's important to be as selfish as you are selfless.
Yeah.
And here's why. You can't be 100% selfless without being equally selfish. And you can't be selfish. You can't fulfill your selfish interests without being selfless. And you cannot fulfill your selfless interests without being selfish.
Well,
Those two have to go hand in hand, and you have to find a balance, because to help others, you need to be able to help yourself first, and also to help yourself, you need to help others.
well, it's
'Cause that's
also
what being human is. And if you don't help others, then I'm sorry, but to me, like my purpose in life is to help myself so that I can help others.
exactly. No, I fully agree. I think the thing is too, a lot of people get confused with me. Is they're like, oh, like how do you like do all this stuff? Like how do you like stay up with people? And I'm not trying to like brag and say that I'm like the greatest helper in the world, like, because I'm not. I'm a human being, but it's the perspective that what people don't understand is that helping other people helps me.
Right.
I do it because it makes me feel good, and because knowing that other people are okay, and knowing that I had a cause I was involved with that gives me such utter joy in life. It's kind of a narcissistic thing when you think about it, but
It is and it isn't. I mean, yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe your motivations are purely for yourself,
Well,
unless you help others.
and this
Maybe
is
it's a
based,
mix of both.
and this is based off of like other events, of course. This is something that happened from experience of knowing what it feels like to be treated terribly,
Right.
or going through situations like, for example, surgery and all these different things. I've been through a lot of surgery in my life, as I've explained before.
Yeah.
And I know what it feels like to feel different in a bad way, being treated differently because of something I can't control.
Right.
And I just don't want anyone else to have to go through that. I don't want anyone else to be treated differently. I want someone to be treated just as, I want to treat you just as much as I would expect you to treat me the exact same, right? Like I want everyone to be treated equally.
Yeah.
That's a lot to ask
No,
in this world in a lot of ways.
I think it has to be asked. I think it's our responsibility to ask that of ourselves and of each other,
But
to step up to the plate and say, it's not okay that people don't have homes. It's not okay that people are starving. It's just not acceptable. And how do you get to that point where you can actually have an influence on that? I think you have to start, always be conscious and help when you can, but also build yourself up. And don't forget where you came from. And I think those things kind of anchor you in a place where you're always going to have those strong values of empathy. And because if you start up from a place of struggle in any kind of way, automatically I think you have more empathy for other human beings.
It definitely comes, a lot of it comes from experience, really. Like, and I guess if the viewers wanted to get to know you personally, what was if you were to give like an elevator pitch for yourself, what would it be? What would you start off with?
An elevator pitch, like if I'm trying to brand myself?
Almost, but just kind of like telling people who you are. What's the first thing? Start off with what is the first thing that you would want people to know about you?
I think it's kind of what we're talking about already.
Yeah.
It's empathy.
You're an empath.
I don't care about anything. I care about a lot of things, but nothing is more higher on my priority list than spreading empathy and being empathetic myself, and using that to enrich my life and enrich the lives of others. Because I think this world is in a really scary place right now, but it's also in a very kind of intriguing place, in that there are so many possibilities on where we could go right now with all the advancing technologies and the people coming together and the internet bringing people closer together. And I know that's not always the case, but there is a momentum of togetherness and of collective power and advancement in technology and medicine that, counterintuitive to what we see on the news, we're entering a stage where we can uplift everybody, where nobody has to be left behind, where we can all be empowered individuals. And for me, that's part of what BrainShake is about. It's about empowering the guests that come on to have their voice, and also building a platform for people that have important things to say that don't always get their voice heard. And so what I'm about giving that voice to myself and being an advocate myself as much as I can, but also empowering other people. So it's empathy, it's enlightenment, it's being a decent human being.
Yeah. Not being an asshole.
Yeah.
Really. But if you were to say, for example, what would your perspective be on if you were to change one thing, for example,
Yeah.
and you were to go for one source, what would be the thing that would be most ingrained in yourself? What organization would you want to help out, for example? Would it go towards government? Would it go towards mental health? Would it go towards?
I don't think. I guess. Are you asking like what I would volunteer for, or what?
What would you What would be more ingrained with you? What like, as far as starting an organization or volunteering or anything like that?
I think mental health kind of goes to the center of everything else.
Right.
I think if you can address the problem of mental health stigma, and we can begin to treat mental illnesses and advance the treatments for them, and make the resources more available and treat it as what it is. It's a crisis right now. It's a crisis. People are dying. It's the second leading cause of death for youth in Canada is suicide. And people are talking about it, but what are we doing about it?
I think we need to better...
The conversation has started, but it's got a long way to go.
I think we need to better educate people.
I think we need to educate people
and
provide resources. I think every teacher should have mental health first aid training.
We need programs, like major programs too for youth, because that's another thing. A lot of kids these days too, they feel very alone. And this is like almost to me, and I thought like back when I was a kid that it was that was a bad age for being able to go and play and all that stuff, because people, like you would shoot a hockey ball on someone's lawn and they would just be like, oh, you're terrible for doing that, like treat you as if you're an enemy for doing that.
Yeah.
But nowadays you can't even go on certain streets and ride a bike.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, why do you think that mental health issues are on the rise? Kids can't be free anymore. They can't go and do and play track down or go and play hide and go seek tag or anything like that.
We live in a culture of fear, and it's getting worse, and people are isolating more and more and more and getting polarized. So on one end of the spectrum, we're getting more connected because of technology. On the other end, we're getting more isolated due to protectionism and the fear propagated by media. People are scared to let their kids go out and play.
We need to learn to bring back play.
We need to bring back play,
and we need to
bring back community.
Yeah.
Where's the community in these days, right? And I think that is the key to everything.
I don't remember the last time.
If you have community,
yeah,
everything else is manageable because you can work on it as a community. I don't even know most of my neighbors.
Right. I don't remember the last time that I saw a street party. That was a thing when I was a kid. We would have street parties.
My grandmother told me about them. I've never experienced one. She said they used to have a whole street was full of people and barbecues,
bring
and
food,
music,
potlucks, music, playing games,
jugglers, who knows what, right?
Like it was.
You experienced that?
Yeah, we would shoot fireworks.
We never
in
had
that cul-de-sac. We would have a huge array of fireworks, and it was on Canada Day.
That's awesome.
And it was perfect because it was right after my birthday, so it was like I had my family party, and then I would go out and I would just have fun with my friends for the whole night.
That's awesome.
Like there was no bedtimes, there was no curfews, because the adults would stay out and drink and have fun.
Yeah.
So we would be supervised. It wouldn't be anything that would be terrible, and we have the whole neighborhood to ourselves.
So what do you think changed? Why do you think these community engaging events and events that bring us together are getting less and less over time? What is it? Is it because we're all watching Netflix? Is it because we were working too long hours?
I think that those are definitely factors, but I think a lot of it comes down to everyone's just so freaking worn out now.
Yeah.
We're working really hard. It sucks because it's you have a father and a mother that are you have parents that are working hard at their jobs all day to be able to spend time with their kids and have enough money to be able to do things for the kids.
Right.
But then when they come to the time to be able to do those things, they're worn out.
Well, North America, I think we work more than just about anywhere in the world.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to...
It's interesting. We have the longest working hours.
I think it comes down
places.
to... Yeah, and I think it comes down to having an unbalance of play and work. I think that
leisure is something that not everyone can afford to have.
Yeah. Time, whether it be time or money, those are two major factors.
Yeah. If you don't have enough time for leisure, you can't enjoy it. If you don't have enough money for it, you can't enjoy it. And those are barriers.
It's to the point where people don't even have the motivation or education to be able to know what the right amount of leisure is, or what leisure even is now.
Right.
Because for example, even me, I play video games a lot.
Yeah.
And even that sometimes is stressful for me, because I can't get thoughts out of my head, and I can't do all these different things, and I need to learn how to relax. Again, people need to learn how to say, we came from this. There was a time where everything was friggin' awesome.
I think we've forgotten how to be with ourselves.
Yeah.
And whether you can find that through yoga, through meditation, through talk therapy, through being with friends, however you find that, I think that is key, because if you don't know how to be with yourself, all these other things bubble up. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't know what the solution is necessarily, but I think play is a huge part of it.
I think, and it's not even just
Huge part
saying
of it.
and having programs, for example, programs at university is saying that they're about recreation and play and all that stuff. We need to stop talking the talk. We need to actually walk the walk.
it's the same with
Because
mental
I've been
health.
in
Yeah.
programs with that, and they're not doing anything.
Here's the thing: the solutions are already there.
Yeah.
The solutions aren't
We just need to-
hiding in a cabinet in a vault
Yeah.
under the sea.
We just need to do the
solutions
things.
for helping people with mental illness and preventing mental illness and helping people maintain their mental health, those things exist, and if we implement them, we can help people. But the thing is, the gatekeepers aren't necessarily willing to do that because it costs too much, or
But
we
also
don't have the time, or-
sometimes for the same reason though.
yeah,
Because people are afraid of losing their jobs. They're afraid of
that's true.
they're afraid of doing something that puts themselves that could potentially, in the slightest bit, put themselves on the line.
And so I think
to make
the
a difference.
momentum always has and always will come from the ground up.
Mhm.
People have to speak up, come together, and say, "There's a mental health crisis." Just as an example, what are we going to do to address it? You know, if government's not addressing it, then you go to local community boards, or you I don't know. It's never simple, but where something's not being provided, people can come together and provide that.
And I'm gonna speak directly to the viewers right now. I don't care what anyone says. Your voice does matter. No matter what. People will tell you that it doesn't, and people will try their hearts out to say that it doesn't matter. But if you make a stand and you do not give up,
Yeah.
you will get somewhere. There will be that silver lining. There will be that place. It may not be the place that you were intending to go. It may not even be close to the place that you were intending to go. But it's still somewhere.
So, what's your favorite thing to do to relax?
My favorite thing to do, this right now, actually relaxes me. But I think my favorite leisurely thing to do alone is play video games.
Fair. I like to meditate. Meditation helps me relax.
I need to get into that more.
I mean, I don't know if I would say
guess-
need, but you should try it.
I think because I've had moments of meditation. I've been through, I guess, my own form of meditation,
Yeah.
and it has helped in a lot of ways. It gets me in a place where it's just like I don't have to think about anything. But I feel like if I went to a class or something like that, it would just be a good experience overall.
I think you have nothing to lose by doing it.
Mhm.
Personally, I go to the Shambhala Center sometimes in Halifax.
Right.
For me, meditation is taking your awareness from way back here, behind your head somewhere,
Mhm.
and bringing it up here. And what I mean by that is it's bringing yourself to the present moment, and there's always going to be shit to worry about. The world's always going to have problems. There's always going to be shit going on.
But I
and
think
it's
that's
good to
what's-
address it and think about it and talk about it. But it's just as important to come back to the current moment
Mhm.
and sit with yourself. You know, I think it's important that you take a moment to enjoy the rain. Enjoy the river falling on, those raindrops were inside of dinosaurs at some point.
I have a metaphor for this,
Alright.
and it's one that I've heard before. But a lot of people, they look at so for example, when I was younger,
Yeah.
my dad, I was having a bad day. And I was looking out the window of our car, and I was like, Dad, I'm not having a good day. I was younger. My dad said to me, he said, "What is it about your day that's not really good?" I said, "I'm not really happy with the world right now. I'm just, because, surgery and all these different things that are going on."
Yeah.
And my dad said, "Well, when you look at a butterfly, do you think it's beautiful? Does it make you happy?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I like the way that looks. They're pretty." And he said, "Did you know a butterfly doesn't actually look that pretty at first? Because they go through the whole cocoon thing."
Metamorphosis.
They go through metamorphosis, and it's this. And he said, he related it to the fact of looking at the world around you. You know, I was saying I wasn't at peace with the world. I wasn't happy with it.
Yeah.
And then he said, take a deep breath, look out your window, and just look at the beauty. Look at it for what it is. Don't think of any outside factors. Don't think of anything. Just be in that moment. And he said, and right from then on, it really clicked in the fact that something that may be beautiful, may seem beautiful, also has ugly parts, but that also is beautiful in itself.
Right.
And it was a perfect day out. It was so sunny. There was trees and everything like that. And the grass was so green.
Yeah.
And I remember in that moment seeing the colors as their own form. Colors were just brighter. It's all about attitude, right? You gotta look at it from a perspective of, and that's almost a form of meditation too, because you're tricking your brain.
That's all meditation is.
To
meditation
think
is
in a certain
being
way.
present. When you're present, when you're truly present, and you're not judgmental of what you're experiencing. It's interesting. We grew up associating being sad with being bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like sad is a
Right.
bad emotion.
Right.
Anger is a bad emotion.
It's not okay
Happy
to
is
not
a good
be okay.
emotion. These other things are good
Right.
emotions. And when you do that, you're shaming the feeling of being sad. You're
Mm-hmm.
shaming these things that are actually can be transformative experiences.
It's
can be
it's
a
actually
release.
a useful tool.
And if you suppress that, you suppress anger, you suppress sadness, as so many people do. For me, that's a large part of what led to me having such bad depression for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's weird how the things we grow up seemingly seeing as common sense end up being completely opposite to what the truth is.
Right.
Whereas I now see sad. When I'm sad, I don't know if enjoyed is the right word, but I embrace it. I'm not pushing back.
You don't judge it.
I'm like, I'm feeling sad. I'm allowed to feel sad. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good to feel sad sometimes.
All these emotions can be used as a tool.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's the balance of these emotions that's the healthy thing.
Yeah.
I never would want to be happy all of the time. That would be terrible. That'd be torture.
You would have no motivation. You wouldn't have any type of drive to do anything. It would
Exactly.
Life would be boring, and of course we want to fix certain problems that are happening, but there will always be another problem. There will always be that next step that we have to take.
It's great if you can find contentment even when you're not happy.
Yeah.
If you could just be with yourself, it's a beautiful thing.
Find a middle ground.
It's a freeing thing. And it's uncomfortable at first, but if you learn to meditate, or maybe you get it through yoga, maybe you get it through going out for jogs, whatever the case may be,
Finding that strategy.
finding that flow, that conscious presence, there's nothing like it. And
Yeah.
it's what we're missing in our culture, in our society. And I think that's how we get back to play. That's how we get back to these things.
And it's
when we make a conscious effort, right?
Yeah, and I think I was, looking back from even just what I said with the whole story of me and my dad.
Yeah.
That is, I was always meant to do something that was creative. From that very moment, I was always meant to do something creative.
Yeah.
Because being creative and doing things like this, it allows you to look at the world and your architecture that's around you
Like that eagle.
as a completely different thing.
Is that an eagle or a falcon? That is a giant bird.
That's an eagle. Yeah, it's an eagle. There are a lot of those where I live.
See, if we had a second camera, we could film that.
Yeah, but
Y'all have to imagine in your heads.
yeah, but that's
Close your eyes. Imagine
Be
an
creative.
eagle flying. The beauty of its wings wrapping around the molecules of air. You can hear it at least.
yeah.
So, hold this.
Okay. I guess. What does this make you feel?
What's it make me feel?
Yeah.
That's funny. I was going to ask you the same thing. When I see this poster, It reminds me of insomnia.
Yeah?
And I'll tell you why. When I can't sleep at night, this is me. I feel like I'm floating through the space of my mind because my eyes are closed.
Right.
It's darkness. But then my imagination lights up. Ideas come to me, shapes and patterns like this. Like I visualize things, and I'm on this roller coaster. And sometimes it's a good roller coaster. Sometimes it's a really frightening and terrifying and just terrible roller coaster. Either way, it prevents me from sleeping. And so I think part of it is, part of the reason I can't sleep all the time is because my mind comes awake at night.
Right.
And
when everything slows down, your mind acts up.
Exactly.
Your brain acts
It's like
up.
everything else slows down, and then my brain goes through the
It's
roof.
the exact same thing for
And
me.
and that's where I get a lot of my creativity from, is those nighttime kind of journeys
right.
Of imagination and epiphany and whatever else. What really helps me to sort it out is to write.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to write. That's when I started writing spoken word poetry and journaling.
Right.
I couldn't sleep for the life of me, so I would write until I couldn't write anymore. And
You'd be exhausted.
that would help me fall asleep.
Yeah.
It wasn't perfect because I was still staying up till the early hours of the morning, but it helped my mind calm down a little bit. And writing has helped me tremendously in my life. It's been the best therapy I've had thus far.
I think,
is writing and expressing your genuine self.
Yeah. I think for me, if I'm going to answer this question...
How does it make you feel, Isaac?
Man.
How does it make you feel, Isaac?
I don't know. So,
Tell the people.
for me, I think this is more so like my creative process coming into fruition. It's kind of the same thing, minus the insomnia, kind of.
Right.
This is the man in the middle is me coming into this whole new brain. My brain is growing into this whole new sanctuary of things and thoughts.
Mind expansion.
Yeah, and it's, as you can see, it's kind of like he has fragments coming off of himself. It's almost like I'm shedding a new skin and becoming a new person.
Here, I'll bring it up close for the people.
The perspective of this is all based towards it's all based towards self-exploration. I was lost in that chasm of color and all these different beautiful things that were around me. I wasn't even noticing it. And then, BrainShake came into fruition. There were certain creative processes that came before that, but this is what really sparked my new self and being able to think more creatively and do things that I love and not be afraid to do things that I love. Are you going to ask me what this makes me think of?
Well, I got that. I did a series of spoken word workshops for Trade School Halifax.
Cool.
And the idea is that people bring things instead of money.
Right.
And someone brought me this glass bird monster
Looks like it's like
creature fish.
Looks like it's like
Is it a bird or a fish?
Looks like I don't know.
It's a bird fish. It's a bird.
Yeah. Well, the beak there, yeah, it's a bird.
How does it make you feel? How does it make you feel?
It reminds me of like a creature that would be like in like Mario or something like that.
Yeah, kind of.
Like, because it's just like this like flame beast thing or like this flame bird.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I don't know how they would have done that. But anyway, this kind of like makes me think of like this burning passion, like you're soaring through the air and it's like I think for me it's when I'm at my best, kind of. I don't know if I'm gonna think creatively in that kind of way. What about you? What does this make you think of?
I really want to throw it, but I'm not going to because then we'll have to clean it up. I think it's just a glass bird. I guess I'll put it here.
Yeah. So are we just gonna... What's going on here?
I don't know.
Alright,
So I'm gonna burn this.
Okay.
I forget how fast it takes to burn out.
Right.
But once it's done burning, we're gonna break out into a free verse poem.
Oh god, no. Can I just use another poem that I had?
No.
No. What is this?
a firework.
I feel like it's a sparkler.
It's not a sparkler.
What actually is it though?
Air's definitely going now.
What is it?
I can't really smell it.
Oh, I can smell it, kind of. Is it just like a smelly thing?
It's just one of them things.
Man. So Brandon, if there was anything that you could, I guess, if there was any advice that you could give to our viewers, what would it be?
If I could give you advice,
Like, let's get serious, even though you have that hat on.
what are you saying about my hat? You got a problem with my hat? You got a problem with me?
Both.
My cousins bought this for me.
Oh, that's nice of him.
My
That's very
young cousins.
empathetic. Okay.
Jump on it. And we're back with another episode of BrainShake. Why am I seeing stars? My head is shook. Oh, that is weird.
So, yeah, Brandon,
Why am I?
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Why?
I'm gonna ask you a
A
question now.
cartwheel shook my head. I was like seeing lights.
If there was,
Alright.
if there was any advice that you could give,
Yeah.
what would it be? To anyone.
Whatever your deepest intuition tells you about who you are and what you want to be and what you want to do with your life, do that. Because at the end of the day, no one else is going to have to live with your regrets when you're dying. Someday you're going to be dying. I don't know when, how, or what the circumstances will be, but you're the only one who has to live with your regrets. So, that thing that you're too scared to do because of what other people will think, what your parents will think, maybe what you will think of it, you need to just do it. You need to stop waiting and stop procrastinating, because someday you're going to wake up and you're going to be 60 and you're going to have 5 kids and you're going to have a pet alien and you're going to be like, yo, where the fuck did my life go? And you're going to be like, man, why didn't I paint that painting, or why didn't I build that tree fort, or why didn't I, steal that hot air balloon from that circus and travel to Japan in it? And Isaac's going to be like, man, you didn't do that because that was a stupid idea and you would have died in the Pacific Ocean. But want to know what, Isaac? Maybe I want to get a hot air balloon and I want to steal it and I want to go travel to the moon. And I mean, okay, here, let's put it this way. I don't care how crazy your idea is, as long as you can come up with a plan to make it happen.
That's what matters.
If you got a plan, then ain't nobody can tell you nothing, because you have a plan. And then you just do it anyways. And, I think you'd be a lot happier living in a trailer park doing the thing you love than living in a mansion doing the thing you hate. Unless doing the thing you hate is the thing you want to do because the money's the priority for you, and that's okay. If money's the priority, then work the job that maybe you don't love. But if your priority is to live a good life and live a passionate life, then do the thing you're passionate about. And if you don't know what that is, try new things. Literally, just go to the mall. And okay, don't go to the mall. Fuck that. Don't buy things you don't need.
Go to a castle.
Go online and look at your local event listings. Go check things out. Go to workshops. Go do things. Talk to new people. Check out forums. I don't know.
Whatever it is.
You know what I'm saying? Go to a bunch of conferences. Try every hobby that exists until you find one that you can't live without. And so that's my advice. Stop selling yourself short and stop coming up with excuses to why you can't do the thing you want to do, and just do it.
If I was to say anything, my advice would be to always know that the things that you're labeled, or the labels that you're attached to, do not define you as a person.
I like that one.
It's just a label. It's just what people say. That's not you. You decide who you are. Not some other person in the world. Not your family. It's you. If I went to Brandon right now and I said, "Oh, I have a bellyache," he could try and empathize.
You're a
with
belly
me.
acher. You're one of those belly achers.
He could try and empathize with me, but he doesn't feel what I feel.
What if I have a belly ache too?
And that even could be different. And my perspective on it is, your whole life, you will have people telling you that you can't make a living out of something that you love to do. But the question is, are you really living by not doing it? Seriously. What's stopping you?
You know, a wise man once told me, stop trying to make sense and just sense and then make.
That wise man being yourself.
Now, he was quoting someone else when he said it, but Isaac, when you told that to me, it changed my life. I love to meet the guy who first wrote it, because it's a beautiful saying, and I didn't realize how beautiful it was until you emphasized it for me.
Right.
So now we're going to share some poetry.
Oh God.
But we don't have to improvise it. Do you have some on your phone?
Yeah.
All right.
I have one.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
All right.
Just let me get mine up.
Yo, check this recorder.
Yep.
It's still going.
Sounds like a play.
So we're going to do some poetry. We're going to do some final thoughts. And then we're gonna say goodbye to y'all.
Yeah.
And all I want to say is, this is completely improvised. Me and Isaac didn't have a guest for this Sunday, because we were thinking about it, and we're like, let's do one that's just us.
We want people to get to know us too.
And the other day, I was hungover walking home from my friend's place, and I walked through this giant parking lot, and I said, I'm gonna use this parking lot. This is my parking lot now. And I mean, the idea is something that we'll talk to. Well, I'll give you a hint about when we do the outro, but an epiphany hit me. I was hungover, I felt like crap, but suddenly a wave of euphoria washed over me, and even though my body was dehydrated and cold and it was raining, I just saw this open landscape, and then an idea came crashing down on me, and that to me is the beauty of creativity. Creativity can take any moment and make it beautiful. And that it was a really pivotal moment for me
When
in my life.
Brandon told me about it, it was just, you guys are gonna love it.
And if you don't, unsubscribe.
It's such a cool idea.
Don't
and I hate to be.
Don't press it. Hey, don't
even think of it.
Listen. Yeah, there you go. The like button.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. All right, sorry. Poetry.
Yeah. Okay, so this one is called Life, and this one ironically was made. It was started pretty much at a poetry meetup that me and Brandon went to, a little workshop, and then I emphasized on it. It's called Life. All right. I sit here staring at this blank sheet of paper, hoping I can create a guide that can make me feel safer, a tool, a device, an instruction. But yet I can't find the words to create an introduction. Funny how life works. You never can guess its surprising quirks, and sometimes you find life kicks you in the ass. You fall in the grass while trying to deal with its sass, but gain nothing. You see, life isn't always what it may seem. It doesn't tell you its crazy schemes, hiding the truth of what it really means. And so, we run around trying to find the flow we've been waiting for to help us grow into something more than us. We don't trust ourselves. We put our trust in our disabilities, not our abilities. We stop at the word fail, preventing us from setting sail to our goals, to the point where we have no soul. We're blinded by our meekness. thing we should hide from our weakness when we could use it as a strength. So I sit here staring at this blank sheet of paper, hoping I can create a guide that can make us feel safer. A tool, a device, an instruction. Now I finally feel like I can create an introduction.
Boom. That was dope.
It's pretty awesome.
That was really good.
Do you have one right off the top of your head?
I got a memorized one, but I ain't gonna spit that one right now.
Yeah.
Let's see what I got up my sleeve.
This guy, he is a legend.
I'm not a legend.
In my eyes, you are.
I have to slap my phone to get to work. I swear, I don't hate phones. I just really hate phones. They never work unless, I literally have to slap it to get it to work.
All right.
Apple, send me a new phone.
Please.
Sponsor us.
Man.
So, what inspired that piece, do you think?
I think for me, at the time that we went to that poetry meetup or that poetry workshop, I felt, at a very low point in my life. I was in school and I wasn't doing so well, and I just wanted to help people, but I felt like I couldn't help myself. So I almost had to remind myself what was wrong with a lot of the things that I was doing and what was wrong with a lot of what other people are doing to themselves, and I want to help make that better.
Just trying to get in touch with that inner wisdom.
Yeah. It was almost like we were talking about before, it was almost like my own form of meditation.
Right.
It was like reminding myself how important I am, as well as the other counterparts in my life as well.
I like that.
But I think when it comes down to it, I want to get into poetry more. I want to do more as far as poetry goes. That was that was my first poem that I'd ever written outside of little elementary stuff.
Poetry's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Free verse.
Anything creative can be
All
very
right.
beautiful.
So, actually, this is kind of funny. So thank you, Isaac, for sharing that beautiful poem. I was there when you started to write it, and it's cool to see how you've developed it. And
Definitely.
it's such a beautiful thing, And
Thank you.
You definitely have that poet spirit.
Thanks. That really means a lot.
The other day, you texted me. It was a nice text. It was kind of telling me that you appreciate me as a friend and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I really, really appreciated that. And anyways, I wrote this poem after I read that.
Mm-hmm.
I used to think that perhaps the world would be better off without me. Perhaps I would be better off without the world. I've fallen down many whirlwinds of dismantled ego, focus, and time, wandering pale-faced through space, through rhyme, and lo and behold, all along, I was transcending, even though it felt so much like failure. It was truly just falling. And I know that to describe the pain, to express the madness in which I reside, it would still fall astronomically short of the true experience. I still have to enamor myself, for I'm here. I'm still here. Wherever that is, I'm not exactly sure, but I like it here. I could make a life here. I could steer my ship near calmer shores here. So don't pity me. No, I need not pity nor sorrow from eyes that peer. I need action. For you to take your life in your hands and let go while holding on at the same time. Find the balance between solitude of stance and giving into flow of the waves. Oh, savory sea. Oh, salty night, where everything you feel just doesn't sit right. Relax. Don't tense up so tight. This too shall change. This too shall mend. Shall change make you or break you? That's the true question. Melancholy, oh sweet apathy, so full of gravity and warmth are your arms, as you grip my mind and feed false notions to my soul, my brain, my consciousness. The holy trinity of my existence. I'm a spiritual man, in the sense that my soul is my deepest self. My brain is my temple. My consciousness is my experience, my reality, my very being. And so I have great faith in myself, in the universe, and I'm teaching myself to have faith in humanity, even when my phone fucks up, like it is right now. Because belief is a powerful thing. It opens doors otherwise unseen. If you're hunched over with your eyes on the floor, how will you ever encounter your innate possibilities, your limitlessness, your beautiful chaos, your true capabilities? I've thought this through. Between now and then, and between me and you, are a whole lot of reasons to be hopeless. Heck, I've encountered and invented enough to fill a black hole until it's full. The only thing that's truly resonated is that I'm in control. Not totally, not ultimately, but I have power. I am powerful. As a human being, every day I can always make at least one decision, usually hundreds or more, and I choose to live, I choose to try, I choose to grow, glow, and thrive, because someday I won't waltz with life. I'll melt with death. And to hell with the choice of giving up before I've even had a chance. Sorry, I got kind of into that a little bit.
Holy shit. That was amazing, man. Like, that was...
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, that was really good, though. Like, and I guess, where did that... I know the text that I sent you kind of inspired that a little bit, but what else, what other factors were kind of coming into...
Well, I think you were over at my house maybe the day before that, or
Right.
maybe the same day, I can't remember. And we had a good conversation. We talked for like a couple hours straight.
Right.
And I talked about, no matter what your situation in life, you can't control that. If I have depression, I deal with depression. I don't know the right word,
Right.
how to describe it. I might not be able to change that, but I can change how I respond to the fact and to the experience.
Yeah.
And it's hard to learn how to do that, and it doesn't happen overnight, and it takes training, it takes practice, it takes time. But no matter what circumstance you're in life, you have at least one choice: to do something or to not do something. You always have that choice. If you're living and breathing and moving, you can always decide to do something or to not do something.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of realization for me means that as long as I'm breathing and I can move,
Right.
and my mind is at least somewhat functioning, I can at the very least decide to eat. I can at the very least decide to drink some water. I can at the very least try to find whatever it is I need to go out into the world and try to find that. And so basically that means I do have power. That's power. That's what power is. If you're dead, you don't have that decision. And someday I won't exist anymore. And so while I am here, I better realize how powerful that small fragment of a decision, that minuscule decision, is in the grand scheme of things. Because making one decision every day, just to keep going, a year, 5 years, 10 years later, might lead to a new opportunity, which could be, hey, this bus is going to this place, I'm going to hop on it. And maybe your whole world changes. You find a new city with new people, and maybe you find that, oh, I can paint in this city, and people will put coins in my hat as they pass by, and next thing you know, you're an artist, and then you have a studio. Like,
It's kind of like a Polar Express situation. It doesn't matter where the train is going. What matters is, are you going to get on or not?
Yeah, are you going to take this ride or not? And I'm it's not that simple. It really isn't.
Yeah.
But it's an analogy for a bigger truth, and something that's helped me is to know that no matter how lost and hopeless I feel, I still can decide to go on. I can still decide to get out of bed. And even if I don't get out of bed, I can decide to stay in bed. And then the next day, maybe I get out of bed.
Or even stay in bed and work on something.
Maybe I stay in bed and I write. Maybe I just watch Netflix. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I need that. Maybe I need to watch Netflix for a week straight to get back to where I need to be. Like, whatever that is for the individual. We are powerful beings.
Yeah.
We are powerful entities with consciousness and awareness and a level of perspective that a lot of species don't have. And it can be a curse just as much as it's a blessing. But let's use it for what it's worth to give life our best shot and say, fuck it. I'm going to do this thing, this idea that maybe I don't know how to do it yet. Maybe I'm not very good at using my camera yet. Maybe I have a shit recorder and I have to put a sock over it to block out the wind. But I'm still going to do it because that's what life's about. You start somewhere. So, when the first humans decided to go across the ocean, they had like probably little rafts made of branches, and most of them died.
Yeah.
But they still tried, and eventually that led to them discovering new lands, and led to all these different continents being populated by humans, and these new civilizations were born just because a group of people decided to go into the unknown. And that's what BrainShake is.
Yeah.
It's getting on the raft, and no matter how rickety and how shaky, because in our hearts we know the vision and we know where we want to go with this is it kind of speaks for itself. It's the cause is we want to be a platform to talk about the things that that people don't want to talk about, or that people do want to talk about, but we want to talk about the things, the biggest issues and questions facing us as a human species.
We want to shake the nation. We want to make it more open. We want to reverse.
We want to take away the taboos of certain subjects like mental health and beliefs and whatever it is. Discussion is the way forward. Communication is the way forward. And we want to open up the doors to other people to have a platform to speak and discuss and to learn and to grow and to be wrong and to learn from that and grow from that. I don't know what else to say.
It pretty much speaks for itself. We want community. We want to bring everyone closer, and we want to help people in the best way we possibly can.
That's it.
And BrainShake is that first step. It's that first brick to a huge building.
For us,
to a fucking castle.
This is our way of trying to do our part with our lives to bring people together.
Yeah. And
to try to tackle the things facing us, because we live in very, very interesting, volatile, scary, beautiful, chaotic times.
Yeah.
And it's exciting, it's scary, and it's all kinds of things. With great power comes great responsibility, and humanity has more power now than we've ever had before. There's lots of nations with nuclear arsenals that, just 30 of them could wipe out the entire world.
Right.
The fact that we haven't wiped each other out yet is kind of pretty awesome.
Really, though.
But it's not enough.
Yeah.
We have to keep fighting to bring people together, and
we have to keep
to
going.
see past the bullshit, to fight against narratives of fear and override them with narratives of hope and of possibility
and love.
And of love. Yeah.
And
that's what BrainShake is. It's about having these hard discussions, fun discussions, engaging and building community, just building something bigger than ourselves. And I don't know where this will take us.
But I'm excited. And I can speak for you, and I know I can speak for you, that we're both excited. We're excited to see where this goes, and we're excited to see what magnificent things come from this. And the people that we meet, too. I'm so excited to meet more people.
That's the beauty, yeah.
It's all so beautiful, and it's also creative.
It's
and
fun.
Brandon and I, we love doing this. We love this to death.
And we appreciate every single one of you so much. If you took even 5 minutes of your day to watch even 5 minutes of this video, we have love for you, and we just appreciate you, because we know that each episode isn't going to be for everybody. We're going to discuss things that might not interest you.
And even then, they're really long, too.
And they're long. You might not want to sit down and watch a whole video. If you're here right now and you watched all the way through,
you're a trooper.
Kudos to you.
You're awesome.
We love you. And you ever need anything, you let us know.
Yeah, really.
Because we got you.
Yeah.
But we appreciate every single subscriber, every single fan, supporter,
every single view is
person in our community.
So important.
We're building a community, and that's what this is.
So seriously, thank you for watching this video, and thank you for watching any of our other videos, and in the future, thank you for everything that you have done.
And we want you to remember this parking lot, because all I'll say is we're working on a short film.
Right.
And there's a giant space agency which we're submitting this short film to. And this is going to be a major, this parking lot is going to be a major part of that production.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled. You never know when it will be released, but
yeah, it will be.
It will.
You'll see it sometime. Hopefully, well, most likely sooner than later.
But
you never know.
Go. Any final thoughts?
Yeah. Pretty much just thank you. Honestly, thank you for watching this, and thank you for listening in. I really appreciate it.
And we'll see you next time on BrainShake.
Hey. How's it going?
Keep your eyes on the road, sir.
Oh no.
Yes, to your left here.
Excuse you. No, and realizing that I can learn. Let's hit that pass. Where's that even coming from?
We're being invaded.
I can't even see.
Yeah, it's too cloudy.
Yeah. It's my goal as a human being.
They're back.
They're back.
They're back again.
No.
They're gonna steal our brains.
They must be doing a training exercise.
Yeah, something like that.
They sure picked a good day.
You're kind of an asshole. We actually hate each other. No, we're best friends.
I don't think we can. I don't think we can get over this.
We'll never get out of it.
We got this, man.
We can do it.
No man gets left behind. Oh shit! Oh shit! I'm fine.
No.
I'm